words are amazing and we use them with teachers, but words we know aren't enough. We have to do something with the words. So I'd like to share with you a quote that's not on one of my cards, but it's now one of my favorites. It's Andy Warhol. And he said, some people think that things change with time, but actually you have to change things yourself. You like that one? So we are change agents by the very nature of being educators and being here. We are change makers. And the word change is a tricky word. Would you agree? If a head of a school or a head of an organization stands up in front of the school or the staff and they say, we're going to make some changes around here, what's the first thing that teachers or staff do?
Scared.
Half the group roll their eyes and go, oh, here we go again, and the rest, some are scared, and one person raises their hand and says, oh, great, that would probably be Sammy. She would say, yay! And everybody would hate her at that moment. Right, Sammy? Did I get it right? Close?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. That way we're twins, right? So we are change makers, and I'm going to go so far as to say revolutionaries, because the minute you want to shut down a society, what do you close? Schools. So we're revolutionaries because we're revolutioning kids' minds. We're opening them up to ideas and thoughts and things they never had, and if we're not doing our job. We're opening the world of possibilities. And as I said earlier to the group I met with some of our organizations that are here. I said that a teacher from a university in Buffalo said, service learning is the fourth wall of a classroom that opens up to the world. So that's what we are doing. We're opening up students' experience to the world. And I think that's really a critical aspect of our role as educators. So that's what we're going to be playing with. So I want to thank Donna again for printing out this hefty packet. Everybody's got a wide set of materials. The pages aren't numbered. Sorry now. So I'm just apologizing ahead of time. So we'll have to just make our way through. But the idea is you have a lot of resources here, and I will familiarize you with them as we go. So one of the things that you have in your handouts in the first page is exactly the one you're looking at right now, which has the bubbles on it. I have it up here so you can look up here. You don't have to keep reading for a few more minutes. This is a diagram that shows the dynamic of service learning. You know, back about 5 years ago, I had it as a line. You did this, then you did this, and you did this, and it didn't work for me. I'm saying it's a dynamic. It's not a straight line. Learning is not a straight line. Would you agree with that? And very often, I do believe we are overly goal-oriented in education today. What's the hazard about being overly goal-oriented? I'm not saying setting personal goals. That's a different thing. What happens when you're overly goal-oriented in education? Anybody have any thoughts? What might be the hazard? Yes? You lose the process. You're so fixated on that end point that you forget that learning is actually a journey. And in my opinion, it's not a straight line. What shape could it be? Maybe curvy? And for some kids, it doesn't end up at the same point that other people have defined. And if they don't get there, what do they think? So, and then when they get there, they think they're done. And I've discovered there is no such thing as done. You're never done. You might be finished with something for now, but you're not done. Life is an ongoing process. So I prefer using the word purpose. That if we know our purpose, we can set a direction and a course, and that will lead our way. And also the word goal, just so you know, you may have heard me say this before, comes from a similar Latin root as the word jail. Yes, jail. So think about it. So what I'd like to do just before we go further, we'll go back in some minutes. I realized I didn't see who's here. How many of you are primarily working with elementary school kids? Let's see a show of hands. We've got our elementary team. How many people are working mainly middle school? We've got a good representation. How about you'd say I'm mainly working high school? Great. And how many are here representing specific community organizations? This is great because these are experts in the room that you're going to draw from a wide range of areas. I know Jason back there is a community organizer from way back. And we've got people from League of Women Voters. So we've got people from Tree People and Generation Earth. What group has not been mentioned? What organization? Yes?
Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights.
Yes.
Independent School Alliance.
Yes. And ECAR, Temple, Synagogue. One that, lots of social action. Any other organization not mentioned? You're going to want to know these because we're going to connect with these people in special ways in a little bit. So I've asked for teachers and organizations. Who here doesn't know what they do? Yes.
I know what I do, but I'm a preschool teacher.
Who's here from preschool? I didn't mention preschool. So we have preschool. Anybody else need to be identified? We have people who think they're retired, like Ann, who's back there still in the pulpit. Ann is anything but retired. Okay. So we have a range of people here, and that's really great. And I hope you have a mix at your tables, because that's going to make it more interesting. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing something called Four Corners. And this is an experience I developed about a year ago, November. It had been brewing for 2 years before that, but it kind of emerged as this experience that I think is one of my favorite ways now of showing what the service learning process is. Because you're going to experience the service learning process. I will not be talking very much today. Yay! You get to do this. On Saturday, I was actually in Miami. And I did it with 90 folks, and about 60 of them were pre-service teachers. Isn't that fabulous to work with 60 new upcoming teachers? And one of the young women came up to me after, she says, this is so exciting, because now that I did it, I know I can lead it, right? And that's often the missing piece. We hear it, but that doesn't translate necessarily to what we know what to do. But I do need to give you a disclaimer, a big disclaimer. Every time you do service learning will not look like this process on the table. But this process will inform ways that you do service learning. Is everybody okay with that? So I'm going to pause during the process at particular moments to debrief what we're doing a little bit, show you the materials in your packet, and ways you can use this in different ways, even with preschool kids or elementary school kids. So we're going to be pausing as we go. Everybody good with that? All right. So in the service learning process, we all know, some of us who've been doing this for a while, know that we start with investigation. Because in anything you teach, you have to investigate first. Am I correct? Anything in life you have to investigate first. You've got to investigate. And then from there, students immediately want to go to which circle? Action. They immediately want to go to action. However, we know they're not ready yet. What do they need to have before they get to action? Preparation, because that's where the curriculum, which is at the core, is coming to life. We had a very good discussion earlier today, and the question was raised, if students investigate the issue of censorship, how will they even know the history of censorship? Well, that's in preparation. Preparation is when the teacher says, look, now you've got your questions, you're curious, we've got some information, but let's figure out what we need to know here, and the teacher's curriculum comes to life. Because service learning always has the curriculum at its core. It's always advancing the curriculum. I find myself sometimes saying service learning is the engine that can move our curriculum forward. If it doesn't move your curriculum forward, it shouldn't be employed. You just don't do it then. However, in many, many cases, it can move it forward. And it might make kids more engaged. Why might using the service learning process actually make kids more excited, more engaged, and more interested in what you're doing? Why might that happen? Yes?
It has some real-life application, and it has meaning.
Real-life application and meaning. How many people want to wake up in the morning with a purpose? Everyone. Everyone wants to know where they're going, why they're there. How many of you, when you were in school, used to look out the window and wonder, why am I teaching that? Anybody besides, why am I learning that? When you were in school, why did you ask, why am I learning that all the time? How many of you now ask, why am I teaching that? So it not only resolves why am I learning that for students, it resolves it for the teacher. Because we need to know why we're there also. And when we connect, and we partner with others, and we get to bring in this wealth of knowledge from the community inside the classroom, because that's part of the beauty. You don't have to be the expert. You get to find the experts, which models for students, when you don't know something, you don't just give up. You go out and find it. You find the knowledge out there, because it's all around us. So that's what we really want to look at. Someone once asked Einstein the size of, let's say, Antarctica or Australia. He said, I don't need to know. I can look that up. We don't need every single fact. We need to know how to access the facts. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. So investigation leads to preparation, leads to action. And there's 4 kinds of action, as you're going to hear, and it's noted on this document I gave you. Direct service. Can someone give me an example of what direct service might look like? Direct. Yes?
Yes, feeding people who are homeless.
Feeding people who are homeless, actually serving the meal. But if you're in the back doing the kitchen work, you might not see them, and that could be what? Indirect. Right? And if you help with a campaign for the agency, help them do public service announcements, that would be advocacy. And if in a high school class you did research about the demographics and changing demographics of the face of hunger in the United States or in Los Angeles, that would be research, because that would help them as well. So 4 kinds of service. And sometimes it's not clear lines, you do a mix, the 4 kinds of service. Now in a typical classroom, you might write a paper, you might do a diorama, you might write a report. But what we're doing is saying you can still do those things, but let's do them with a certain purpose and make them go somewhere. Help them serve something, so that young people see that their learning has meaning. And that's what keeps students engaged. And so many kinds of thinking come into play. What kind of thinking are kids using when they're doing this kind of learning? What kind of thinking? Problem solving. What else? critical thinking, collaboration, creative thinking. The students are alive.